Hey there. Well, this is another video I have just to kind of showcase some of my LLM stuff. I definitely have done a lot of machine learning and LLMs and data science over the years. Right now I'm more focused on pretty much ML ops and cloud infrastructure, cloud engineering. But RAG Web is, or RAG AI is kind of one of the cooler things out there right now, and it's definitely one of the more intense things to serve, especially at scale. So I have a few different iterations of basically of these models. This one right here is vLLM. It's running. It's basically running on an RTX 3060 12 gigabyte graphics card, so not a bad card, but definitely it's about as low powered as you can be and still have pretty good snappy performance. Well, let's just definitely fast for considering this is running on my home lab right now in Docker Compose. But it's totally set up to be deployed to, well, I was going to deploy it to AWS, but the reality is I want to kind of push this to the max, so I'm going to put it on Google Cloud, and that's what it's really set up for right now. Hold on, where is it at here? So this thing's pretty much set up to arguably the state of the art right now as of the making of this video. The app itself is so it's a Chroma gateway, has a SGLang backend. Everything's containerized, run on network mode for GPU simplicity. It has Helm charts and Kserve kind of ready to go for it. I was starting to set it up for going to AWS, but like I said, I kind of pivoted to get it into Google Cloud, and that's pretty. I'm going to make another video that's all about the deployment and the infrastructure around it. So right now what we're looking at is it's running on my home lab. And like I said, it is pretty snappy. And this is probably the third iteration of my home lab LLM. I originally started like 2 years ago with an Ollama model, and I was using it kind of like how we use Grok and stuff nowadays. And then I went to a more containerized version, definitely a more sophisticated version of it. I can show you the more sophisticated version now. This is running, logging into my report server here. It's really what handles all the authentication to get into this stuff. And this is the original, or not so much the original, this is the thing I use most of the time. This is my Sarah AI. I can talk to her kind of like a... think of her like an Alexa, but maybe on steroids, and definitely more configured for my life, we'll say. There's a lot less guardrails to it, things like that. And its only modality is speaking, so you can talk to her and she can talk back to you. Ironically, I'm out of tokens for the speech synthesis right now. But that's really, I just kind of wanted to show you this on the way to what we have here, which is the real vLLM. This thing's running, like I said, it has the Chroma RAG gateway. What else do we have here? Kind of looking through the code a little bit. So it's running a just a 4-bit quantization AWQ on a, what is it, like a 3B Qwen model. Continuous batching, PagedAttention. It has prefix caching enabled. It's Tensor-parallel ready, even though, like I said, it's running on my home lab here, so it's a little bit, it's a little bit underpowered. It's set up to go with Triton if I get it to a real hardcore deployment, and that's really the goal for this, is to get into just like the best possible Google Cloud deployment that you can have, and it would run on any cloud. But when you're talking about LLMs and stuff, Google's going to be the state of the art, at least right now. And you absolutely can run good stuff on AWS. I'd say AWS is second, and Azure has stuff that you can run it on. Azure, I can guarantee you it's going to run better than at my house. But that said, my house is the box that this is running on is a pretty beefy machine that was set up just to run cheap LLMs pretty fast and pretty efficiently. The RAG layer for this is a Chroma. Like I said, has a vector DB, so it's persistent. Right now doesn't have any data set in the docs folder, but you could totally set this up to whatever your business needs are. You could put medical data in here and etc., all that sort of stuff. Right now it's only these, it's using RAG for the context here for whatever we talk to it about, so it does kind of remember this, remember the history. And hopefully it doesn't say anything crazy here. Serving naturally artificial. So naturally artificial is my, it's basically my platform. I had to make up something for a portfolio, so I kind of just spun up some, I wouldn't call them fake companies, but kind of real implementations of companies. It's just basically a place for me to even get my stuff kind of deployed. And it has the, like I said, the login here, so you can actually get in and do stuff. Where are we at? I definitely like my UI much better for my original Sarah, and I'll probably update this a little bit more, but the focus on this right now is to be much more powerful and to be using just up-to-date techniques for scalable LLM, specifically for RAG. This is definitely set up to be SRE ready, so it has metrics that are served with it, and I'll get into the code here in a second. But there's a Grafana that's deployed with the Docker Compose right now, so you can see everything that's running with it. It's gathering natively. Prometheus is getting a lot of information just out of the box, but then it also does its own metrics. So yeah, this is about as much information as you could possibly want out of an LLM's performance. Man, I love Grafana and Prometheus. Trying to think of what else. Checking out my code here. So yeah, like I said, it's ready to go into Google Cloud, or that's what I'm gearing it up for. I have to get my cloud platform going. Right now I'm using Azure and AWS, but like I said, I wanted to tinker around with getting this into Google, so that's where this is going to go next. Where's my code at? So actually, I host this on my own. This is the original Sarah, by the way. So she's using FastAPI, LangChain. It's a lot of definitely not bad stuff here. This would be totally fine for a lot of organizations for nowadays. But we definitely pushed it a little bit harder with the vLLM implementation here. So this has just a regular deployment that you can do to get your to get it running locally for development. And this is the actual Docker Compose image. And it's broken up to run in Helm, as I said. This is what you'd be running local on your machine here. So you got your SGLang, Chroma, gateway, your Prometheus, your Grafana setup, the volumes for the RAG and for Grafana. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's standard for, nowadays you can see the quantization arguments here. It's running at 90% memory overhead. What else is kind of interesting? Really, the Chroma, the metrics, the vLLM is the pretty much the main thing here that's showcasing it. And like I said, this was something that was really meant for me to be a flagship product that I can deploy. It's mostly because I want to do the ML ops on this to basically just kind of, do the most productionized deployment possible. Currently setting up all the Helm charts and everything, you can see it's set up to run on Kserve. This is going to be the implementation once it gets deployed. Like I said, I'm going to make a video up for the actual deployment going out into Google Cloud. Hopefully, these videos are kind of painful to make. Kind of just YOLO in this one here just to show some of the stuff I work on, because I'm definitely focused a lot more on platform engineering and ML operations right now, and just regular DevOps, getting all these pipelines and everything going. I try to be good to go for every cloud that's out there. Really focused mostly on AWS. Azure, I mean, I'm fine with Azure. Google Cloud's kind of the one thing that I haven't really messed with, and that's mostly because it's more, I do more generalized cloud performance, and Google's really, that's your data one. What do we got going on here? So yeah, it's set up to go in Triton. All the infra is pretty much ready to go. I mean, we'll see whenever this actually runs how far it gets, but it's going to just be using the regular container pool, not so much like I guess what would you call it, like a regular Kubernetes deployment. Pretty much the same. It's orchestrating it differently. The actual app itself is broken up. You have the backend that's doing a lot of the, this is where we're doing all the metrics, and that's everything that you're seeing hosted out of here. Or, well, some of it. Some of it comes native from Prometheus, just listening. The configuration, you can see a lot of this is because of the gateway architecture of it. It's basically deployed. There's a lot of moving pieces to it, but that's kind of what makes it so you can use it for multiple things, and just yeah, it's much more flexible this way. A little bit of we'll say front-loaded programming. Yeah, I mean, this is the actual main thing running here. You can see it's using FastAPI, pedantic for the models and all that. Handling the request. I might speech enable this too, but because I was going to deploy it out there, I didn't want to have to worry about rigging up the speech back and forth, the natural speaking part of it. Here, so you can see that basically you can just drop your whatever information you want into the RagDoc path, and she's going to be ready to respond on that. Right now, like I said, it's just remembering the history of what we're talking about here. So yeah, set up with Terraform. It's ready for Kserve. it's set up to use 2 GPUs in parallel. That's kind of the point of this, is that I want to try to push it to use that. It does have, it's set up for good secret management, the Helm charts, so whenever first of all, to deploy all this stuff, you're definitely going to want to use something other than just like a Docker Compose. So, Helm's the obvious choice for deploying all these different pieces. And then I'll probably use config to do overlays for like 2 different environments, one for dev and then one for like a stage prod simulation. Yeah, like I said, the metrics are kind of one of the more important parts of this, because I definitely worked to make sure it was pretty tight. It's running a pretty small model, to be honest, and I mean, with the quantization, the small model, the vLLM, I mean, this thing just flies. It's definitely the fastest LLM I've ever made, and I'm pretty sure you could deploy this anywhere, and I'll probably scale it up to use a bigger model. It depends on what it costs for the experiment, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, what do we got here? It's set up so you can switch it to different lang chains or different chains. Basically, you can use it for SG chain. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's just an overview, and you can totally see all this code so this is my own hosted, self-hosted repo here. Like I said, this is Sarah, or the original one that you saw. Where's vLLM? Yeah, so you'll be able to see all this in my GitHub under Skyhacker. Yeah, this is my GitHub for Skyhacker, and you can find this out here. Also see all my other stuff. You can see my local infrastructure I have deployed and running my own K3 cluster here. This is my AWS infra, and right now I'm setting up Terraform for my Azure DevOps, and I kind of wanted to run it from Azure, but yeah, I kind of mess with everything just to stay up to date on it. I'm probably going to end up running this pipeline from GitHub eventually, but right now, or at least, we'll see how it goes. And it is worth mentioning that the original Sarah, she runs through a Jenkins pipeline that just deploys locally in my home cloud. So yeah, there we go. Have yourself a good one. Happy computing.